Welcome, everybody. So good to see you this afternoon. Whew. We are going to talk about the ISTE certification for educators. And I'm so excited that you took this time to check this out. CISA 2 has been doing this certification now for about 2 years. We're going on 2 years now. And the exciting news now is that we have created an opportunity for you all to do it online. So especially in the predicament we are in right now, we knew that that would be a viable option for people to engage in. And so we're going to do that. By the way, you guys, my name is Beth Clark, and I'm going to present this so you can see this. There we go. And I have been working at CISA 2 now for 3 years, and I am the Senior Director of Digital Leadership and Learning. So excited you're here, and we're gonna get right into what the ISTE certification can do for you. And so Katie Martin is one of my favorite authors right now. I'm almost finished with her book on learner-centered innovation, and I just really like this quote. So one of the things that the ISTE certification can do is to provide foundation to different ways to shift your practice and to engage in technology that will expand and provide new opportunities for your students and for you. And we certainly want them to be empowered and to become lifelong learners, and that is exactly, we want them to have that agency and that thirst for learning. So that's what the ISTE certification can do, is to provide you that foundation to shift some of your practice in that manner. So there's a couple things when you're thinking about technology, and one is to like, okay, technology could be a digital worksheet storage. That is one thing that we want to move away from, and to really engage students in these very enriched opportunities. So like right now that we're in remote learning, what does that look like to unleash the genius on the other side, right? So how can we provide opportunities, learning opportunities that it can involve some technology? Doesn't always have to. Remember, there has to be a good balance, but to unleash that genius on the other side, and to allow students to really expand what they know and what they want to know. And so, you know, as we're working in ed tech, I like this part because we want it to be interactive. So as we're thinking about our remote and virtual learning, how can we make it more interactive? How can we make sure the technology is expanding beyond skill and drill, and then having that right blend? So as we take a look at the ISTE Ed certification, these are considerations that ISTE has brought together as you are thinking about, is this the right certification for me? So thinking about using ISTE standards as a roadmap, as we take a look at what ISTE, you know, as we deepen our knowledge, we definitely take a look at the ISTE student standards. And we also take a look, of course, at the ISTE educator standards. There are leadership standards out there as well. There are coaching standards, and those we don't get into as much, but we really deepen our knowledge on the student ISTE standards, and I really love those, and I'll show those to you in a minute. And then what does it take to be an ISTE certified educator based on those ISTE standards for educators? So thinking about that, consider, you know, have you experienced, or this is a funny consideration in the time that we're at, because you are all experiencing technology right now, right? And then are you comfortable with online? Because we're going to be doing this this beginning part is asynchronous and synchronous, meaning that we'll have times where we come together like we are right now. I won't be doing all the talking, though. You will be engaged in this platform. And there's also asynchronous time where you actually are doing work on a virtual platform, and you're doing it anytime, anywhere. And then the second shift, and I'll talk about this too, the second phase is more online, less synchronous, more asynchronous work, and then it's building a portfolio. So how comfortable are you with that? I'm sure you guys are getting very comfortable right now. So it's all about stretching your practice, and it's funny because you'll see this yoga pose, but they actually took all of the educator standards and created yoga poses based on those. And so if you take the certification, you will actually see that. What I like to do though is when we get into talking about how we're shifting our practice, I always talk about the learner and how we're responding to the learner. So right now, most of us are serving our Gen Z students. And so this is kind of, we get into like, what is the student of today? I also want you to know that there's an alpha group coming up, and those are students who were born 2010 and above. And so the alpha group, we are also getting to know and starting to do some research on. There's not a lot out there yet, but we're getting to know who they are and how we can respond better to them as educators. So we take a good look at that. We talk about the modern learner, and you can see that shift, right? We talk about exactly what I was just saying, Gen Z, Alpha. We talk about some of those characteristics that make them who they are. And it's not bad, you guys, it's just different. And how do we respond differently? I'm just reading a book right now, Marching Off the Map. I love it. You guys got to take a look at it, but it talks about how we as educators need to keep those timeless pieces, like how do we communicate and collaborate together? But also, how do we become timely? I love that, timeless and timely. How do we become timely so that we are responsive to the learners of today? Then we take a look at like, okay, what is that modern landscape for the educator? And what are some of those key characteristics and shifts we need to make to be responsive? And then this is also, I just really like to show this because as we are thinking about going into the certification, how are we thinking about the jobs to be done as teachers? So typically we tend to go into something because we want to lead the way to improving their school or students. We want to engage and challenge more of our students into something that is different or more applicable to them. We might want to fix a broken instructional model. We really want to make a new way for students to learn. Or it might be something where you don't, everybody else is doing it, I've got to get on board too. And as we think about virtual learning, this ISTE Educator Certification will help you do that. It will help you get to the comfortable stage in virtual learning. They've actually, in response to what we're doing right now with remote and virtual learning, they've added a module and some models on blended learning, and I'm really happy to report that. So it'll help you position yourself to better engage with students virtually. I want you to know this. So in Wisconsin, if you are joining us from Wisconsin, we have something called the Information and Technology Literacy Standards. And so those standards are wrapped around the ISTE and built from the ISTE student standards. So I want you to know, as you are working through the ISTE student standards, you will also be connecting to what our state is moving, and we have been for the last 3 years now, are these ITL standards, we call them. So you'll be covering those. Here are the student standards. And so what I really love about these student standards, they came out in 2016, is that they are, what do I want to say, things or aspirations for students. And so we want students to be digital citizens. We want them to be knowledge constructors and not just consumers, right? We see too often our students are just on a device consuming. We want them to be constructors. We want them to be collaborators. My favorite ISTE standard is that empowered learner. I have such a passion for kids to be really in charge of their learning, to know who they are as learners, to be making shifts and pivots themselves as learners so that when they are out of the school environment and system, they can continue to make those shifts. But you'll see computational thinker. These are all fantastic, and we'll go through those a little bit more in the certification. These are the ITL standards. And then you'll see here now we jump from student standards to the educator. And so you will see here that as you create your portfolio, and I'll talk about that portfolio in just a couple minutes, you will see that these are the different areas that have indicators, typically 3 to 4 indicators underneath each standard. And once you are into this and you're really looking at all of those indicators, you will find that you are doing a lot of this already. You know, how are you creating goals every year? That's one of the indicators under a learner. Well, hello, you guys are doing your SLO, PPGs, or just goals for your position, whatever you're doing. You know, so you're already doing some of the stuff that's in here. And then what we'll do is we'll take a close look at this, and we're going to be building you up so that you can, any gaps that you have in any of these indicators, we'll make sure that those are covered. And that will be your portfolio, is to show those artifacts for those indicators. So you will see here how the ISTE standards for students are hugged by the educator standards, right? So that just makes sense. So how are we as educators supporting the student standards through our educator standards? And you guys will fall in love with these standards because it just makes sense in the age that we're in right now. It just makes sense. So just think for a minute, why are these important? And how are these standards relevant to you? Especially right now, like I said, in the stage that we're in. And if these are important, then how do we go into our certification? So this is just something that I've created just to kind of understand. I talk a lot about this too. So as you guys are looking at those indicators, where are we at as far as becoming a transformative educator? And that is like typically stage 1, we're talking about exploration. Now, in the past 8 weeks, I would say we have been exploring a lot of digital tools, right? We had to, because we had to create that toolbox of tools so that we could be successful online. The next part is going into stage 2, is really going into how do we take those tools now and how do we make sure that we're connecting those to our curriculum, to our standards, making sure that we're using the best tool for the best learner. You know what I'm saying? So really like making those critical connections. Then the third stage is really taking those connections now and making them more learner-centered. You know, how are you creating project-based learning for students or inquiry-based activities? How are you creating those learner-centered activities where the kids have more agency? Are you doing something like Genius Hour? And how are you doing this virtually too, especially if we go back in the fall to a virtual situation? So these are the stages I talk about and how you can transform as an educator to fill those indicators. Woo! Just cruising right through this, you guys. So let's take a look at what the structure is. So typically in the past, we've done 2 days on-site kickoff. And this is the structure of the certification. And I love that part, because I was able to connect with all of the, you know, of course we all love that. We miss our classroom right now, right? So you're able to connect face to face and you build this kind of family. And then you go on into the online modules. Well, in this case, starting in June, we are offering an opportunity that I would be meeting 4 times with you. Instead of doing a 2-day face-to-face, which we can't do, we are going to offer 4 synchronous sessions, and then you would be doing asynchronous work, and that would cover all of the 2-day workshops. So we'll build that family online, which will be good because I'll model how you build relationships online. You know, how do you do that capacity building while we're online? And then we are going to go into the online modules after that. And it typically takes about 6 weeks. I do that in the summer, about 6 weeks, because we take about, there are 5 modules and we take about a week each. I say 6 weeks in case we need a little buffer time, but you will go through each module, and The pacing, I let you support your pacing. I support all of your grade, you know, going through all of the work. I give you feedback. Now, I want to tell you what is different this time. I am offering you guys to take 3 modules or 5 modules, so you have an option. So as a learner, what you want to think about in the 5 module online experience is that I will give you feedback all the way through. If you choose 3 modules, that means that you will get feedback in 3 of the modules. The 5th one is required. So you get to choose 2 from the first 4. And I'll give you feedback on those as well. Some people are more self-motivated. They don't need feedback. They just want to get into the content and go through it themselves. So we've given 2 different options. Whoops, let me go back here. And then the last part of it is a portfolio, and that's building your artifacts. Now, if you have built artifacts and you know, have been going through the online module stuff, and you're like, okay, I got this. I can put my portfolio together in 2 weeks. You can do that in 2 weeks if you want, but you have 6 months to complete it. So let's say that you know, you're going back to school or you've got something, you know, on your plate, and it's going to take a while to create some artifacts. Take the 6 months to create it. If something does come up, I just want you to know this up front too, that you can extend your portfolio past 6 months, but you have to pay ISTE a fee for that. That's nothing I have anything to do with. Just so you know that the ISTE portfolio part of it, or that portfolio when you're building it, that I will guide you and I will support you and I will do everything I can to help support, you know, looking at your alignment map and so on, but I do not evaluate your portfolio. That goes directly to ISTE. They evaluate your portfolio. If by chance your portfolio doesn't pass the first time, don't worry about it. You can submit again. Of course, there's a fee because they have to pay the evaluators, but you can. So what I want you to know is that this is totally doable and I am here to support you through this. So this is just somebody who has taken it. I'm not going to go into this right now, but what educators are saying prior to, you know, what are your intentions too? What do you want to get out of this? This is just Rita talking a little bit about that. So I talked about this 2-day or blended. These are the different pieces that we'll go through in that asynchronous and synchronous time together. So these are the different modules that we'll talk about. And I will connect these right to the indicators so you feel very comfortable with those indicators as we go through this. And then this is just how it's going to be delivered. So you will see synchronous, asynchronous. I talked about this a little bit about the online modules. You will all be given access to something called Brightspace, and that is the platform that we will be using throughout our training. So it will be where you will do our asynchronous and synchronous. It will be where you will do your online, and your portfolio you will submit there as well. All right. You can hear my lovely dogs in the background. We're home, right, everybody? All right. And then this is after the on-site. This is just another person who took this, and he talks about the on-site. Let's see what he has to say.
Great stuff yesterday. I love the program as a whole. Very well organized, and even better yet, the collaboration and ideas that were shared among all our peers. Can't wait to hear more. Best part about it is when I can come away with one idea, and I came with just bunches of notes and ideas and things I want to implement and integrate. So looking forward to seeing everybody again and talking to you in the future.
So that was the on-site, and we're going to do that in an asynchronous and synchronous manner where we're building and having those conversations. And we'll be using Zoom, we'll be using Brightspace, but to make sure that you have those critical conversations with each other. And so there's a lot of collaboration as we're going through this. So we talked about this. The one thing I didn't talk about is that during this online time, of course, you always have access to the facilitator and by email, but I also want you to know that we do 2 synchronous sessions to kind of, I call them syncing sessions. So like after module 1 and 2, we will plan a time where we can Zoom together as a group and talk about, because it's so important for us to have oral conversation and dialogue about the content. And so we will come together and talk about that. And then we'll do that again after module 3 and 4. We'll come together and then I set you up to get into your portfolio. So we talk about your portfolio during that time as well. So moving on to that. And it kind of helps us pace ourselves too in those modules and then get you set up to go on to your portfolio. So that's what that looks like. And this is somebody who has taken our online.
Hi everyone, my name is Kay Henriksen and I am one of the instructional services directors at CESA 4, which is located in West Salem, Wisconsin. As far as the online modules for the ISTE Ed certification, I think what it did as far as my own knowledge and skill sets, it built and broadened them to the point where it helped me realize that by activating and by applying the ISTE Educator standards, I was helping my educators do the exact same thing for the students, for their students. I think my aha moment came when I realized that the ISTE Educator standards are actually wrapped around the ISTE student standards, and with all things college and career and future ready, I think these standards help us shift and transform our pedagogy to help our kids truly be ready for the future. I think it has helped me align everything we offer, every service that we offer in digital learning at CESA 4 to these ISTE standards and helping our teachers grow their own. So always reflecting on how I can apply these and then sharing that knowledge with the teachers. I just found this a huge, huge benefit of the online modules. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. And then we go into the certification structure. So I want you to know that I will, like I said, I will set you up for getting into your portfolio. ISTE provides something called an alignment map, and it has all of the indicators on there. And the alignment map is actually your portfolio. So what I will do during that, that first part, the asynchronous and synchronous part, and online, is I will help support you understanding what those indicators mean and what examples that would work with those indicators. I really try and help support you and put you in a position where you can find things that you do that will support that portfolio. The other thing that ISTE came out with recently, probably 6 months ago, thank goodness, is they came out with something called the criteria guidelines. And I love that, because what those guidelines do for you is they tell you exactly what the evaluator is looking for in your artifact. And so as you are writing about your artifact, you can position that artifact to fit that indicator, and I'll help you with all of that. I'll help support you through that process. So eventually what you'll do is you'll upload your alignment map, which is your portfolio, and you'll submit that through Brightspace, and ISTE will then evaluate. It takes about, I say at tops, usually it takes a month for evaluation, depending on how crazy it is for them over there, but you should know what within a month if you passed or if you will resubmit again. So that's pretty much the structure of it. And let me see. Oh, this is the alignment map. I wanted to show you an example. So all it is a Google Doc, you guys. It's that simple. And then you put in something called your contextualization over here. And then you put in an artifact link. And, you know, they have a naming convention. I'll help you with all of that as well. But you can see under the learner standard, you have these indicators, which are the criteria. And so you just put in artifacts, 9 to 14 artifacts for 25 criteria or indicators is what they look for. And then last we have what they're saying after completion.
Hello, this is Valerie, and I am excited to talk to you about my ISTE portfolio reflections. So I have identified a couple of key pieces that I think help me to be successful. The first one, find your portfolio posse. So my posse was the group of amazing women that I went through the face-to-face training with. We met every couple of weeks via Zoom or just via chats, sometimes just by text messages to support one another, not only just with the go get them kind of support, but also some technical support. Hey, what are you doing for this? What are you finding for that? And one of us would typically attend the ISTE portfolio information sessions and then share information. So number one, find your portfolio posse. Number two, the alignment map is fabulous. It provides you very specific guidance in terms of what the evaluators are looking for and how you can demonstrate your mastery of particular indicators. So be specific with the alignment language. Look at the question, look at the indicator, and then write your reflections accordingly so the evaluators know exactly what it is that you're sharing with them. And then finally, celebrate. So like many educators, I check my email when I can't sleep or first thing in the morning, which is maybe why I can't sleep. But anyway, my email came about 1 a.m. and it said, congratulations, ISTE Certified Educator, or something like that. So I was excited, relieved, but the email was really welcome and celebratory, and you do then get a chance to look at your portfolio and read the feedback from the evaluators, which just helped me grow as an educator. So you can do it, go get them, and rule number one, what was it? Find your portfolio posse.
Thank you, Val. So let's take a look. You guys, what I want you to do is just think about any questions that you have. I'm going to take a look at the chat right now and answer some questions. But as you are thinking about this, what kind of questions come up? And Mitchell, if we could, would you share, or maybe I have the dates in here. Let me see here.
I can pull up the dates too. If you want to take a look at the chat, there are a few questions in there.
Yep. Okay. Oh, I do have the dates here, but you know what? Let's put this document in the chat if you would. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so questions here. And as you guys think of more questions, please add them to the chat. I really appreciate that. So it says, what about recertification every 3 years? Do you have to redo, start over everything? Could you imagine that? No. So this is the deal with renewal. So it is 3 years. And every 3 years you need to renew. And what ISTE does is you will then, once you become an ISTE certified educator, you are asked to join this community in Brightspace. And so in there, they will offer different opportunities. Like, for example, do you want to monitor or facilitate a book study? Do you want to, which is an ISTE book, you know, do you want to, you get points for all of this stuff. So your objective is to gain, I think it's 100 points in 3 years is what it is. And as you are, you know, adding points, your renewal, this is brand new, you guys, so I just learned this. Your renewal is based upon how many points you have. So let's say that you got 100 points in 3 years, your renewal will be $99. If, let's say, for example, you have 2 points in 3 years, I think your renewal is $249. So depending on, there's like a sliding scale. How much do you want to pay? How much do you want to put into it? What I really like about being a part of the community and even having, you know, kind of some goals to gain points is that you do start to network and you feel like you're still learning and you're a part of something. And so I really like that piece of it. So that's the renewal process. And you will be all informed about that after you are certified. Is this certification only for teachers, or can related service providers take this course too? It just really depends. Like, I've had administrators take this course. I've had educators from every area take this course, or certification, I should say. So what you want to do is think about your portfolio. So with those indicators, what I would do is go to the ISTE standards, go to their website, just look up ISTE Educator Standards, pop up, go take a look at those indicators and start thinking about, am I in a position where I can actually see myself in some of these indicators? And sometimes, just so that you know, sometimes I can help you see yourself in those indicators. Does that make sense? I just worked with two educators the other day, and they're like, I have nothing for my portfolio. And I said, let's talk about this. All right, let's talk. And by the time we were done talking, oh yeah, their portfolio is awesome. They just shared it with me recently. I'm like, you are so on target. Like, this is crazy. You are so set. So sometimes I can help you position yourself too. So just let me know if you're concerned. I'm not sure when we say service providers, what the service providers are, but let me know and just shoot me an email and I can help you with further details. All right. If you turn it in before the 6-month deadline, do you have to wait until that deadline date for them to evaluate? No, no, no. Oh, could you imagine that? So you're, a month into your portfolio and you have to wait another, how many months? So no, as soon as you submit it, it goes right to the queue of an evaluator. And the first evaluation is formatting. So just so you know, the first evaluator looks at, okay, did they follow the guidelines of the format? And one of those might be, you have to have videos under 3 minutes. If you have a video talking about some artifact for 10 minutes, they're like, nope, take this back. We don't have time for this. So there are some formatting guidelines. So it'll go through that first. If you pass the formatting guidelines, then it goes to an evaluator who actually evaluates your content. That's where it'll take probably a couple weeks. And then you'll get that feedback right away. So no, it does not need to take 6 months, and you can be certified faster than that. Absolutely. And what is the rate of passing? Do most people pass the first time? So I have to say this, you guys. So the first, I would say year, it was tougher to pass because they didn't have, remember how I said, thank goodness for the criteria guidelines. The criteria guidelines have helped immensely. We have had more passing. I want you to know that CISA 2 has the best passing rate. Hello, isn't that awesome? And so we are here to support you, and I will do whatever it takes to make it successful for you. I have had several people who have not passed, and it's not the end of the world, because what ISTE does is it gives you some feedback to help support. You have to have 20, I think you need to be 20 out of 25 to pass. I believe it's an 80%. If you get 19 and below, you just resubmit and you just take their feedback. I'll help you, get through that feedback, and then we resubmit again. I'll tell you it's 100% after you resubmit. So that's what we have seen. And let's see, I'm curious how NBCT compares. Yes, it is interesting. We had a really good conversation last year at Slate about that. And so how does it compare? I think this would help support you to get your board certification. There is support throughout the same. I know that you can get support throughout your board certification as well. I would say I haven't actually gone through that process, so it's hard for me to speak, but I'm just thinking about what this person was saying in our session. And she said that I think that the national boards is a little bit more grueling, and you have to provide video of you in your classroom, things like that, which the ISTE portfolio, you don't have to provide that. You certainly could. That could be one of your artifacts, but you don't have to provide that. Yeah, I would have to get more information on that, and email me separately if you're interested, because I know somebody specifically I can hand you off to, and they can talk more about the details of both. Let's see. More info. Mitchell put all of that great stuff in there, summer dates. And it says, I work with teachers with RTI. I'm curious about collecting materials about the portfolio. Absolutely, you can. There's some pieces on leadership. There's pieces on being an analyst, so collecting data and evidence. There's pieces on, you know, there's so many indicators. And so no matter what you teach, it depends on how we can take those and really align those to the indicators. But I believe that with the 6 months period of creating a portfolio, you could actually, if you have any gaps in there, you can make sure that you're filling those gaps. And we can do that virtually too. So no matter how we go back to school next fall, we can collect and make artifacts that will fill any gaps that you don't have already. ISTE likes to say, you know, within the last year, anything that you've done, use in your portfolio. But if there's something that you've done in the past and you want to just kind of maybe revise it and freshen it up as you take a deeper dive into those ISTE standards, you certainly can, you know, bring something back to life too and use it as an artifact. The other thing I want you to know in your portfolio is you can use things that you're planning ahead for. So let's say that you actually didn't even create or actualize that lesson yet. You can use a lesson plan that will help support that indicator going forward. So that would work. All right. Would this be valuable for a principal? Oh my gosh. I would love if more administrators came on board and got certified, because it helps them to understand what we want to see in educators. So, and I can help support that portfolio piece from an administrator's, because that's what I am, an administrator. And when I went through it, that's what I needed to do too from that perspective. So I can help support that too. In your portfolio, they talk about students. What are your students doing? Show examples of students. Well, my students are adult students, whereas a third grade teacher, their students are children, right? So what I tend to do is tell everybody that I'm working with in their portfolio is to focus really on the learners. Who are your learners? And then I always really, in the contextualization, I have our participants put in parentheses, my learners are adults. In this example, my learners are children, you know, so they know who the learner is. But yes, it would totally be applicable. I would love to have principals on board. Does certification work towards professional development credits? So it depends on your district. So in Wisconsin, so if you're asking about Wisconsin, we have credits. I have credits available. So if anybody is interested in doing graduate credits, you can earn credits, nothing extra. You earn credits by doing the work. So if you need graduate credits, we can do that. If you are looking for professional learning hours, we can do that. If you need a badge or certificate, I can do that. So depending on what your district needs as far as proof of learning, I can supply whatever they need or whatever your state needs. So I don't know if that covers specifically your question, but if you need any proof of learning or, you know, whatever, just let me know and we can work something out. All right. Do you have any other questions that are on your mind that we can help clarify? I know what there's a question out there, but I think you see it here. How much does this cost? So because it is such a process, we actually, it used to be $825, and what we did is we consolidated some of that time, of that face-to-face time. We didn't need to get a room. We didn't need to provide you lunch, right? So we were able to move that price to $699 for 3 modules. Remember, that's guidance on 3 modules. If you want guidance on all 5 modules, then the price is $749. And that will take you through all of the certification process, all of the support and guidance that you need along the way. And it gets you access to Brightspace and ISTE evaluation and all of that good stuff too. So are there any other questions? I'm just looking at the chat right now. These are our dates. Mitchell put in the times where you can sign up. June 2nd is my first session coming up. I'm super excited to try this new synchronous and asynchronous hybrid model. I'm super excited. And then we have one at the end of June, 2 at the end of June. Excuse me. And right now, ISTE is allowing us to do 3 sessions in this model right now, just to see how we do. And then we'll be adding more. So whether we're back face-to-face, I'll be adding some sessions face-to-face, or I will be adding some more sessions in the hybrid model. But I wanted to make sure that we could put this in prior to the fall, so you guys can feel secure about going into virtual learning if that's our case. So that is ISTE certification in a nutshell. Oh, I see one more question. Let me see. When is the sign up deadline? So you can sign up prior to June 2nd. You can sign up anytime, but I just want you to know that we did not turn off registration. You can sign up the day of if you need to. I hope not, though, because I'll tell you that the week prior to June 2nd, I will be sending out like some pre-work, and it's not a lot of pre-work. It's just more of community building, who you are, and then I have you take a look at the standards, just do a first read over the standards, and that is prior to June 2nd. So I send that out a week prior. But if you miss that stuff, it's not the end of the world either. So if you can make a decision before then, fantastic. Otherwise, make it when you can. Good to go, everybody? All right, so if you have any other questions, please contact me and I will put this, Beth, I think you saw it on there, clark@cisa2.org. Shoot me an email. I will answer your question as soon as I can get to it. And I hope to see you soon. I hope to see you in June. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon. Take care.